Iran claims to have targeted a U.S. aircraft carrier. Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps say they have attacked USS Abraham Lincoln. The IRGC claims to have launched 4 ballistic missiles towards the...
A missile fragment falling to the ground and exploding in Doha, the capital of Qatar. It's part of the retaliation from Iran after the U.S. and
United States is taking heavy losses in the war in West Asia. It has lost 13 soldiers so far and 140 of them are injured.
At 0347 local time, a single Khalij Fars anti-ship ballistic missile lifts off from a camouflaged transporter erector launcher hidden inside a date palm grove 11 kilometers southeast of Bandar Abbas. It clears the tree line in under 2 seconds, riding a column of white-hot solid propellant exhaust that turns the grove into a silhouette. The missile is already moving at 1,100 miles per hour before it passes 3,000 feet. Its target is 97 nautical miles to the south, sitting in the middle of the Strait of Hormuz. The USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, a Nimitz-class nuclear aircraft carrier displacing 97,000 tons with 5,500 sailors aboard and a flight deck longer than 3 football fields. The missile will cover the distance in just over 4 minutes. That Khalij Fars cost Iran roughly $500,000 to build. The ship it is aimed at cost $8.5 billion. The 44 aircraft sitting on its deck are worth another $6 billion combined. Iran just bet $500,000 against $14.5 billion. And in 4 minutes, the math is either going to look like genius or insanity. But the Khalij Fars is not alone, and 0347 is not an accident. That time was chosen because it is exactly 9 minutes before the carrier's E-2D Hawkeye, its airborne early warning aircraft, the flying radar dish that gives the strike group its longest eyes, is scheduled to rotate. For 9 minutes, the old Hawkeye is descending toward the flight deck on fumes, and the replacement has not yet launched. Iran's intelligence directorate identified this gap 3 weeks ago using commercial satellite imagery and pattern analysis on publicly available flight tracker data. 9 minutes. That is the entire window. That is the entire war. 6 seconds after the first Khalij Fars launch, a second TEL fires from a different location, 4 kilometers to the northwest, also buried in agricultural concealment along the coast. Then a third, then a fourth. 4 anti-ship ballistic missiles, each a derivative of the Fateh 110 family, each carrying a 1,400-pound warhead, each equipped with an electro-optical terminal seeker designed to identify the largest radar cross-section on the water and steer toward it. 4 missiles spread across a 12-second launch window, approaching from slightly different vectors. Total cost to Iran, roughly $2 million. The destroyer USS Carney, an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer riding shotgun 8 nautical miles northeast of the Eisenhower, picks up the first launch on its AN/SPY-1D radar at 0347 and 14 seconds. The radar is tracking all 4 objects within 22 seconds of the first detection. The Combat Information Center aboard the Carney transitions to full automatic engagement in under 40 seconds. Standard Missile 6, the SM-6, the Navy's longest-range interceptor, a $4.8 million missile that can engage targets at ranges beyond 150 nautical miles and at altitudes above 100,000 feet, begins leaving the vertical launch cells at 0348 and 11 seconds. 2 SM-6 rounds assigned to each incoming ballistic track, 8 interceptors against 4 targets. That is $38.4 million in interceptors chasing $2 million in Iranian missiles. Somewhere in a Raytheon boardroom, fiscal quarter projections are adjusting themselves in real time. 97 nautical miles to the north, inside a hardened underground command bunker carved into the Zagros mountain foothills 23 kilometers north of Bandar Abbas, Brigadier General Rostami watches the launch confirmations scroll across a locally manufactured command and control display. He is not watching the Khalij Fars missiles. He already knows what will happen to most of them. The Americans have been shooting down ballistic missiles over the Middle East for 2 years. The Khalij Fars barrage is not the plan. It is the envelope the plan arrives in. Rostami's actual weapon is already in the water. It has been in the water for 6 hours, 40 nautical miles southeast of the Eisenhower, running at a depth of 15 meters and a speed of 4 knots to minimize its acoustic signature. An Iranian Qadr-class midget submarine, displacing only 120 tons, sits in a pre-planned holding pattern. The Qadr is a small diesel-electric boat, roughly 29 meters long, about the length of a standard swimming pool, with a crew of 18. It carries 2 heavyweight torpedoes. It entered the strait submerged through a shipping lane, hiding its acoustic profile beneath the engine noise of a bulk carrier transiting northbound toward Bandar Abbas. Its orders are simple. Wait for the missiles, then surface to periscope depth, activate its targeting radar for exactly 3 seconds, transmit a single encrypted burst to the command bunker, confirming the carrier's precise position within 50 meters, and then dive and run. The Qadr is not the weapon either. It is the spotter. The weapon is the one launch that has not happened yet. Back over the strait, the first SM-6 intercept occurs at 03:49 and 38 seconds at an altitude of 74,000 feet and a range of 43 nautical miles from the Eisenhower. The Khalij Fars is in its terminal dive phase, plunging toward the water at roughly Mach 3, 3 times the speed of sound, when the SM-6 detonates its blast fragmentation warhead 9 meters from the missile's body. The Khalij Fars shreds apart. Debris scatters across a 2-mile radius of open ocean. Kill 1. 4 seconds later, a second SM-6 hits the second Khalij Fars at 68,000 feet. The interceptor does not detonate its warhead. It strikes the incoming missile directly, body to body, at a combined closure speed of roughly Mach 6. Both objects cease to exist. Kill 2. The third Khalij Fars is different. Its electro-optical seeker has locked onto something. The missile is making small but measurable course corrections in its terminal phase, adjusting its dive angle by fractions of a degree. The SM-6 assigned to it detonates close, but not close enough. The Khalij Fars wobbles, loses a stabilization fin, and begins tumbling. It impacts the ocean 1,100 meters off the Eisenhower's port bow, throwing a column of water 200 feet into the air. The concussion rattles coffee mugs in the officer's wardroom. No damage to the ship, but 5,500 people just felt the war arrive. The fourth Khalij Fars takes 2 SM-6 rounds, and both connect. Kill 3 of 4. The one that missed technically missed the ship too, but the 1,400-pound warhead detonating on the surface of the water 1,100 meters away is not exactly a confidence-building moment. The entire engagement lasts 2 minutes and 41 seconds. 3 intercepts out of 4 launches. By any modern standard, that is extraordinary performance. The Eisenhower's Battle Watch captain reports conditions Zebra set throughout the ship and requests immediate combat air patrol launch. 2 FA-18E Super Hornets, already armed and spotted on catapults 1 and 2 for the dawn cycle, begin launching within 90 seconds. Aboard the Carney, the Combat Information Center briefly exhales. The watch officer begins composing a battle damage assessment. What nobody in that CIC knows is that the Qadr submarine surfaced to periscope depth 47 seconds ago, transmitted its 3-second burst, and is now diving through 40 meters, headed for the bottom of the strait at maximum speed. That burst contained the Eisenhower's GPS coordinates accurate to within 30 meters, its heading, and its speed. That data took 11 seconds to reach the command bunker. It took another 8 seconds to reach a second TEL, this one buried inside an industrial warehouse on Keshem Island, 38 nautical miles north of the carrier. Inside that warehouse, a weapon Iran has never fired in combat sits on its launcher. The Khaybar Shikan, a solid-fueled, medium-range ballistic missile with a published range of 1,450 kilometers, roughly 900 miles. But this variant is not aimed at something 900 miles away. It is aimed at something 38 miles away. A missile designed to hit targets in Israel is being fired at point-blank range by ballistic missile standards. The energy that would normally be spent covering distance is instead being converted into terminal velocity. When this missile arrives over the carrier, it will be traveling at approximately Mach 8, 8 times the speed of sound, roughly 6,100 miles per hour. At 03:51 and 22 seconds, the Khaybar Shikan fires. Iran had tested what Western intelligence services designated the Al-Qadr variant of this missile family in 3 separate tests over the Dasht-e-Kavir Desert between 2022 and 2024. Each test demonstrated a maneuvering re-entry vehicle, a warhead that does not simply fall in a ballistic arc, but actively steers itself during the final phase of flight, pulling up to 15 Gs of lateral acceleration to dodge interceptors. American intelligence assessed the system as a medium confidence threat. Medium confidence. The Pentagon's way of saying, we think they can do it, but we have not seen them do it to a moving target at sea. Rostami watched all 3 tests personally. He knows something the Americans assessed at medium confidence. He knows it works. The Carney's SPY-1D radar picks up the Khaybar Shikan at 03:51 and 29 seconds, 7 seconds after launch. The track is immediately classified as a ballistic missile, but the trajectory is wrong. It is too steep, too fast, too close. The fire control system computes an intercept solution, and the answer comes back in a way that makes the weapons officer's stomach drop. The missile's predicted terminal velocity exceeds the SM-6's engagement envelope for a tail chase intercept at this range. The geometry is wrong. The Khaybar Shikan is coming almost straight down, and it is coming down faster than anything the SM-6 was designed to chase in this configuration. 2 SM-6 rounds fire anyway. The system does what it was built to do. But the intercept probability that flashes on the weapons officer's screen is 22% per round. That is not a number anyone trained on. 8 nautical miles to the southwest, the Eisenhower's own close-in defenses activate. The RIM-162 Evolved Sea Sparrow Missile, or ESSM, a $2.5 million short-range interceptor designed for exactly this kind of terminal defense, begins launching from the carrier's NATO Sea Sparrow cells. 3 rounds in rapid succession. But the ESSM was designed to kill cruise missiles flying at Mach 2 at ranges of 30 miles. The Khaybar Shikan is arriving at Mach 8 from directly above. The ESSM has roughly 4 seconds of usable engagement time. At Mach 8, 4 seconds covers 8 nautical miles. That is not an intercept window. That is a prayer. The last line of defense is the Phalanx CIWS, the close-in weapon system, a radar-guided 20mm Gatling gun that fires 75 rounds per second. The Phalanx was designed in the 1970s to kill subsonic anti-ship cruise missiles. A missile moving at Mach 8 crosses the Phalanx's effective engagement zone of roughly 1,500 meters in less than 0.3 of a second. The gun would need to fire, track, adjust, and hit a target the size of a refrigerator moving at 6,100 miles per hour. The Phalanx activates. It fires 218 rounds in its engagement window. It might as well be throwing rice at a freight train. At 03:52 and 47 seconds, the Khaybar Shikan's maneuvering re-entry vehicle makes its final correction. The electro-optical seeker, updated by the Ghadir's targeting data and now locked on to the Eisenhower's Island superstructure, the tallest and most radar-reflective part of the ship, pulls a 12G correction and impacts the flight deck 40 feet forward of the island at a 78-degree angle. The warhead weighs approximately 1,100 pounds, but at Mach 8, the kinetic energy alone is carrying roughly the equivalent of 3 tons of TNT before the warhead even detonates. The missile punches through the flight deck, through the gallery deck below, through the second deck, and detonates inside the hangar bay. The explosion vaporizes 2 FA-18 Super Hornets being serviced inside the hangar. Jet fuel from ruptured aircraft fuel cells ignites. a secondary explosion blows out the hangar bay doors on both sides of the ship. Fire erupts across 3 decks. The Eisenhower does not sink. A Nimitz-class carrier is divided into more than 2,000 watertight compartments. It has 40 damage control teams. It has halon fire suppression systems and armored flight deck plating 2.5 inches thick. The ship is designed to take hits and keep fighting. But the flight deck now has a hole 30 feet across, and the hangar bay is fully involved in a fire burning at 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit. Flight operations are finished. For the next 12 hours minimum, possibly 3 days, the most powerful warship in the Persian Gulf is a 97,000-ton vessel that cannot launch or recover aircraft. Iran just put $14.5 billion worth of American air power on the disabled list for roughly $3 million in missiles and a submarine that costs less than a single F-35 landing gear assembly. In the command bunker north of Bandar Abbas, Rostami does not celebrate. He issues the next order in a sequence he planned 4 months ago. 12 Noor anti-ship cruise missiles, Iranian copies of the Chinese C-802, each costing approximately $300,000, launch from mobile coastal defense batteries hidden along the shoreline of Keshem Island and Ladakh Island. Their target is not the Eisenhower. Their target is every other ship in the strike group that is now going to be focused entirely on protecting the burning carrier. The Noor flies at 15 feet above the water at 680 miles per hour. It is not a sophisticated weapon. It is a 40-year-old design, but 12 of them arriving simultaneously from 3 different vectors while every ship in the group is repositioning to shield a wounded carrier is a very different problem than 12 of them arriving on a Tuesday afternoon. The USS Carney and the USS Mason, a second Arleigh Burke-class destroyer positioned 12 nautical miles south of the Eisenhower, begin engaging the cruise missile salvo at 0354. SM-2 Standard missiles, the workhorse of fleet air defense, at $2.1 million per round, begin leaving the rails. ESSM rounds follow. Both ships' phalanx systems spin up. This is the fight these systems were actually designed for. Subsonic cruise missiles at low altitude. The kill chain works. The first Noor dies 18 nautical miles out, then a second, then a third. The Carney kills 5 in 90 seconds. The Mason kills 4. The 3 remaining Noors are engaged by ESSM and 2 more are destroyed. 1 Noor gets through. It strikes the USNS Arctic, a fast combat support ship, an ammunition and fuel resupply vessel sailing 6 nautical miles behind the Eisenhower. The 365-pound warhead detonates against the Arctic's hull at the waterline. The Arctic is not a warship. It has no armor. The explosion opens a 20-foot gash in the hull, and flooding begins immediately in 2 compartments. The Arctic will not sink, but it begins listing 7 degrees to port, and its crew of 176 begins damage control operations that will consume the next 8 hours. Rostami has now hit the carrier and the logistics ship. The strike group can still fight, but it cannot fly and it cannot resupply. He has functionally neutralized the most expensive naval formation on Earth using assets that total less than $15 million. 350 miles to the southwest, aboard the USS Bataan, a Wasp-class amphibious assault ship operating in the Gulf of Oman, Rear Admiral Catherine Torres receives the flash traffic at 0355. Carrier hit, flight ops suspended, 1 auxiliary vessel damaged, strike group requesting immediate support. Torres has 6 AV-8B Harrier jump jets and 4 F-35B Lightning IIs aboard. The F-35Bs are already armed for a strike package scheduled for the following morning. She diverts them north at maximum speed. They will be over the strait in 38 minutes. The first F-35B, call sign Raider 1, crosses into the strait at 0433, carrying 2 GBU-53 Stormbreaker glide bombs and 2 AIM-120 DAM-RAAM air-to-air missiles. Its AN/APG-81 radar, the most advanced airborne fire control radar in any operational fighter, begins mapping every electronic emission along the Iranian coastline within 200 nautical miles. In 4 minutes, it identifies the radar signatures of 3 remaining Noor Coastal Defense Battery search radars still active on Qeshm Island. At 0437, Raider 1 releases both Stormbreakers from 42,000 feet at a range of 40 nautical miles. The Stormbreaker is a 208-pound precision glide bomb that costs $220,000 per unit. It glides 40 miles on folding wings, then activates a tri-mode seeker combining millimeter-wave radar, infrared imaging, and semi-active laser guidance. Each bomb locks on to one of the coastal defense batteries. The Iranian operators never see the F-35B on radar. They do not know the bombs are in the air. The first Stormbreaker hits the lead TEL at 0441. The second hits the command vehicle 14 seconds later. Both coastal batteries are destroyed before they can reload. Raider 2, 3, and 4 follow in 90-second intervals, each carrying a different loadout, each assigned a different target set along the coastline. In 22 minutes, 7 coastal defense sites, 2 early warning radar installations, and the industrial warehouse on Qeshm Island, where the Khaybar Shikan launched, are reduced to concrete and rebar. The warehouse strike alone destroys what intelligence later estimates were 2 additional Khaybar Shikan missiles still on their launchers. $12 million in Iranian missiles deleted by $1.7 million in American precision munitions. The math reversed itself in 22 minutes. At 0459, the Qadr submarine, running at 6 knots at a depth of 45 meters and heading east toward open water, crosses the sonar detection threshold of a P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft that launched from Al-Dhafra Air Base in the UAE 40 minutes earlier. The P-8A drops a pattern of 3 AN/SS Q-53G sonobuoys, and the Qadr's diesel engine, running to charge batteries for its escape, appears on the acoustic operator's screen like a heartbeat. An Mk-54 lightweight torpedo drops from the P-8A's weapons bay. The Mk-54 costs $730,000. The Qadr cost Iran approximately $25 million. The torpedo acquires the submarine at a range of 900 meters and detonates against the hull 47 seconds later. The Qadr implodes at a depth of 52 meters. All 18 crew are killed instantly. 29 kilometers north of Bandar Abbas, Rostami receives the report of the Qadr's loss on the same screen where he watched his plan succeed 72 minutes ago. He knew the submarine was not coming home. The crew knew too. The mission briefing included the phrase, "Return is not guaranteed," in the second paragraph. This was not a suicide mission. It was an honest assessment. On the Eisenhower, fires in the hangar bay are contained by 0540. 23 sailors are dead, 67 are wounded. The flight deck hull is covered with steel plating by a damage control team working in conditions that would be unimaginable in any civilian context. By 0800, limited helicopter operations resume from the aft portion of the flight deck. Fixed-wing operations will not resume for 4 days. The final accounting is straightforward. Iran spent approximately $15 million in missiles, one $25 million submarine, and 18 lives to disable a carrier strike group worth $28 billion, kill 23 American sailors, wound 67, destroy 4 aircraft worth a combined $340 million, and shut down the single most important power projection platform in the Persian Gulf for 96 hours. America spent approximately $87 million in interceptors and precision munitions, sank 1 submarine, destroyed 9 coastal defense sites, killed an estimated 140 Iranian military personnel, and had its carrier back in limited operation within hours. Both sides will call it a victory. Both sides will be partially right. Neither side's math will make the other side's population feel better. The Eisenhower limps south toward dry dock facilities. The Bataan assumes station in the Strait. The Pentagon schedules a press conference. Iran schedules a parade. And in Defense Ministry offices in Beijing, New Delhi, Taipei, and Pyongyang, analysts begin updating their models of what it actually costs to put an American aircraft carrier out of action. The answer, it turns out, is about $40 million and 9 minutes. Every Navy on Earth just recalculated. If you enjoyed this video, check out our other video on how Iran's underground missile cities actually work. Bye for now.